His books are almost in all the universities of the world. I know they're in almost all the English libraries of the world. He's gone from this world now. I knew him quite well. He was a sheer delight as a dinner companion. He changed his opinion in later years, yes. But back in the 30s when he wrote Ends and Means, this is what he said, and this is all the substance. He said, I had motives for not wanting the world to have a meaning. Consequently, I assumed that it had none, and was able, without any difficulty, to find satisfying reasons for this assumption. He assumed it had none. But one night I came out of the Ebell Theater, having given my lecture there, and I looked into the hills of Hollywood, and here the whole hill is aflame. Houses, how many? I think there were 40, burned that night. One of the 40 was Aldous' home. In it he had these priceless manuscripts. He had manuscripts not published by D.H. Lawrence that were given to him by Lawrence. He had his own manuscripts and a priceless library, plus lovely pieces of art that members of his family had done. He had so many intellectual giants in his family tree, both on the male side and the female side. And he fell heir to so many lovely things, pieces of sculpture, paintings, and these wonderful manuscripts. Everything went right down to ash. Not one thing was saved but the suit on his back. So he had motives for not wanting the world to have a meaning. And he consequently assumed that it had none. And then he had no difficulty in finding satisfying reasons for this assumption. That was plenty, and then seemingly forgotten, but it was recorded in his book, written in the 30s, called Ends and Means. He went about his business changing his opinions from time to time, but that had to come to fruition. So be not deceived, said Paul, for whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. Well, you sow with your imaginal activity. Whatever man is imagining, that is what he is sowing. And when the time is right for its fulfillment, it comes to pass. And all that he held so dear in the latter days of his life turned into ash. It had no meaning. The world had no meaning. To him, they were priceless then, and he intended to give them to one of our universities here on the West Coast, either USC or UCLA. Well, that's what he told me. And then the whole thing collapsed, and it all turned to ash. Our whole vast world is what we are imagining pushed out. And there's nothing but God, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. We are told in the book of John, he was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world knew him not. He came to his own home, and his own people received him not. But to all who received him, and who believed in his name, he gave power to become sons of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Not a physical birth, not from the passion of blood and flesh, but of God. God is your own wonderful human imagination. That's where the birth takes place. From above, out of your own skull, out of your own wonderful human imagination. Now, Jeremiah, which name means Jehovah will rise. In this passage, taken from the 18th chapter of Jeremiah, you will see that the Lord God Jehovah is your own wonderful human imagination.